Wait, we gotta change it. Bravo. Wait, are you Samuel Chakarian or is this? You've
Oh,
grown
here,
up
let me
so
change.
quick. You've grown up so quick.
Well, that's one of the owners. I'm gonna leave that.
Actually, you're gonna leave
Yeah.
that. I gotta change
Let's.
I gotta change my
No,
name.
no, I can change it. Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna change it in honor of.
How do you change it? I forgot.
All right, in
Oh,
honor of my brother's
participant.
birthday today. I'll do Bombasomeness because
Uh,
he's not gonna watch this probably because he doesn't partake in any kind of group functions in the FFL apparently, except for the draft. It's nice because I see your hairy knuckle right now pointing into the camera.
oh, whatever. All right. There you go.
Cobra awesomeness. Oh, it's a it's a themed one. We're doing this because we're gonna talk some smack on him a little bit later, um,
That's right.
which is
That's
gonna be
right.
nice. Well, thank you, Sai. I
Or
know.
the robot of Dave. I don't think he's a real person. I still
Well,
don't. I don't.
I can confirm he is a real person. Whether his fantasy whether his fantasy knowledge evolves or stays the same, I don't know. That I can't tell you.
Yeah, he's like an outdated robot. Like he's not even using the artificial intelligence or any of the new technologies that are out. Like
No,
he's still using like calculator technology. So
he's
yeah.
yeah, he's like basically if like primitive man were just to say primitive man for for like the millennia, like that's him. Like we got new tools. No, I'm
No,
gonna use a stone. It's okay.
he's like a robot that like so aliens came down to Earth and they're like, oh, we need a brain for this robot. And they came at the wrong time and they put like a caveman's brain inside the
It's well,
robot.
we're talking fantasy here. We're talking fantasy, right? As a lawyer, it's very difficult to follow that trail of logic. But as a fantasy manager, he does have a certain way of doing things. And we're talking smack. It's all in good fun. Dave's birthday today, but
Well, it's his birthday. It's like the equivalent of like punching him.
yeah,
However
of
many
course,
times his birthday is. So
yeah, sure.
yeah.
Um, First of all, I really appreciate that you actually want to talk to me because apparently nobody in the league wants to talk to me. And this is nice that we actually no, because it's good. We can actually have some banter and have some stuff going on. Um, Everything's going good with you, by the way. Just let
Yeah,
everybody know.
can't complain. Can't complain. Things are
Uh,
good.
Kaka is full on in full force right now. Is it Cobra Kaka time? All over the place, the little one.
You know what? As long as yeah, Cobra Kaka, can't wait for the next 4th of July when we have little firecrackers popping left and
Yeah,
right,
well, that's not gonna happen for a while, so we're gonna have to just
Uh,
wait on that one. But yeah, so we're like doing this at like 12:30. So if we do
oh
mess this
man.
up, I don't know. If you gotta go or do something, let me know. Um,
Yeah,
all right, so let's
we'll,
break
we'll
this.
try to get through it quickly.
Yeah, so we're gonna first of all, we're gonna do a lot of breaking down of what this. So we're gonna have a four part Zoomcast. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna just introduce everybody to the AFFL page because apparently nobody knows it exists. The second thing is I'm gonna break down
The
with you
Russian hackers do.
apparently the hackers know, but we got
Hmm.
hacked. We did get hacked. We'll show that. And then we're gonna go over the survey, which is gonna be the new rules, and we're gonna actually do this live. So what I'm gonna do is basically try and get you to think it through. We'll discuss and then go back and forth, and
I
maybe
like it.
you could give me a final if you have a final choice. I'll tell you where I'm leaning, and then
All right.
the defensive points that we want to talk about really big is the defensive stats that we're going to adjust. Now we have I found a radical new way of doing it. I think it's great. We'll talk about it, see what you think about it, and then
Let's do it.
our homage to awesomeness will be at the end, which we'll decide. We're gonna go through and pick the most awesomeness type players in fantasy that he picks. So
I
if you're
think
okay
I've
with that.
given him all I can give him by changing my name to Cobra Awesomeness.
Cobra
So yeah.
awesomeness, yeah. Bombasomeness is basically a true homage. So here we go. So let's just first of all let's break this down. This is the AFFL page. People don't understand that we actually have one. The analytics of it. We had 4 people visit on July 10th. And then you could see there's really nothing here. Well, there was nothing going on. And then we actually had the first couple of Zoomcasts and stuff. And actually, people showed it, and we got hacked right here. 27 people showed up on the 29th. Now, last time it was a bunch of people searching for porn, I think, with grabbers. So this could have been the same thing.
Go to geography. Go to geography on
Let's
the
see.
left there. Let's see
Let's see
where
where
these
the
people are
27.
from.
Oh, they're all from. We got
Oh,
34
hey,
people
they're from the U.S. Okay.
from the U.S. We got Canada. Oh, we got China. Oh, you're right. You're right. We got hacked. Oh, here it is. We've got fans in Latvia, Singapore, Japan. Really,
I
really.
love it.
Yeah, I mean, do we know any Armenians in Singapore or Japan?
I think maybe the word Jaj means something like in those countries that like is different from like the Jaj we know, but
Yeah.
yeah,
So
it's probably a Latvian word for like muskrat or something.
Yeah. We got to get somebody to be part of that. Can we get somebody that's like the designated like AFFL like fact checker and research analyst that can look this up? Somebody needs to look up what Jaj means in these different different countries and languages and see if that could be the hook. So yeah, this is our traffic. We want to get people on here. A lot of people coming in. Looks like what is this? Directly to the site. Some people through searches. But people, this is our website. In case you've forgotten, just wanted to bring it up to you. As you can see, none of my Zoomcasts has really gotten any love since ours. So apparently they don't like it when we talk together. Sai.
I agree.
Well,
I agree.
There it is. All right.
I wonder whether they'll like ones that I only speak in. But yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
That's pretty much it. That's probably what it is. They don't give a crap about me. I mean, it's okay. I'm used to this. All right. So we did the first survey, which was kind of like a precursor, kind of get a feel for the COVID stuff, get it out there, and then we're going to now narrow it down with a little more specifics to each of the things that everybody in the league voted on. So I'm going to go with you. We'll talk about stuff. We'll talk about the question. I'll get your thoughts, and I'm just going to kind of let you lead this as I ask you the questions. First of all, the first question, draft will be Saturday, September 5th. Location to be determined. What time? Optimal start time. How do you feel about this? Where are you at in this? You want an afternoon barbecue or you want an evening?
I'm usually a little bit more of an evening type of guy. I would probably prefer the after 6 p.m. one. I mean, I'm open to anything, but maybe even 3 to 6.
This is start time, by the way. So this is when we're gonna start.
Yeah. I mean, I'm probably leaning towards the after 6 p.m. one.
After 6 p.m.
But okay. I'm game for anything.
Yeah. I'm probably in the 3 to 6 range myself as well. I was thinking about this one, the middle of the day. It might be just too hot or whatever. But 3 to 6 probably be good. Anywhere between 3 to 6 or after 6, I'm fine with it. More what people have kids and families.
Can you have a multi-select option there?
This is a multi-select.
Oh, there you have it.
Yeah. So you could click. So basically, everybody could click whichever ones you want. Multiple times. All right. Cool. All right. So the first real question we're going to talk about, and we talked about this a little bit more earlier, but we didn't do it on the Zoom. When does the season officially become valid? And
this is including playoffs, I'm guessing, right?
So this is all, so we're going to say, well, we got 4 choices. Actually, you can suggest if you have any more choices. If you want to add some, we can add some. But like, for example, I thought these were the ones we kind of hinted, and I thought, first of all, 10 weeks, it's a little more than half, enough to say that it's, good enough. 12 weeks is 3/4 of the season. So if people were going to go 75% of, and be arbitrary like that, 13 weeks is the full regular season. And then after we get the regular season, there'd be no point in stopping unless we get to the 16-week mark.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's just clarify one thing. So if they announce before the season starts that it's going to be a shortened season for whatever reason, right? Then that's not what this is talking about. This is talking about if it just ends early for whatever reason, right? Like,
right. So we're assuming, we're assuming that the season starts with no kind of discussion about slowing down or stopping or anything. And then,
right.
And then once the season starts, if it stops anytime before these weeks.
Right. I mean, I think I'm leaning towards 12. I'd probably be okay with 10 as well, but I think 12 is my answer.
So you'd say 12. Okay. So you could pick 10, 2 of them. You could pick more than one. So you'd pick 10 and 12?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess
Uh,
my other question would be what does it mean by a valid season? So what would that mean? So if it stopped, let's say we take your situation of 12 weeks,
right.
and it stops at week 11.
Yep.
In your mind, what happens at that point?
So in my mind, that means the season is done. Everyone gets their money back. There's no winner. There's no interim winner, like any type of award or anything. It's
Okay.
just the season's over. Unfortunately, it's a wasted year, right?
Okay.
Um, that's what I mean by that.
Okay.
Now, if we hit the 12-week mark,
Hmm.
then, and let's say after week 12, they go, you know what, we can't go on any further. We've got to stop the season. It's done.
Okay.
Then we have to have some guidelines. I mean, like that's maybe one of the next questions we should ask. Like, if it does end short and abruptly, right? How do we declare the winner of the season?
So
And
what
like what are the winnings, or what is like just what are we playing for at that point, right?
I'm glad you asked that because I was thinking about that. So what I came up with was the next question was here. So
Oh, perfect. Okay.
here's what I could propose, and we could change this and alter it. We could think about a better way to wording. But if I said, basically, if the AFFL season ends before the third place and championship games are played, okay?
Uh-huh.
So we have no definitive winner of any place value, money values, right?
Right.
So I
Right.
would propose that we pay out the weekly highs. So in all scenarios, weekly highs
Yep.
get paid out.
That's a good point. Yes. Yes. That.
So
Yeah. I completely agree with that.
So then up to 12 weeks, if we get 11th week, we're done. You still get the weekly highs paid out. And then you break
Okay.
down the whatever's left and you pass it back in evenly.
So you pay out the weekly highs.
Right. And
Let's
then
say.
you redisperse what's left evenly between 12 players.
Oh, just give money back for whatever is
Yeah.
left. Gotcha. Gotcha. Um. Sure. Yeah. Definitely weekly highs. And if we don't meet the minimum, I think it's a little different from what you're saying before third place in championship game. I think that's different,
Well,
right? So I would say
it's
if we
not.
hit the minimum.
So let me finish what this is saying though. What
Oh,
it's saying
okay.
is basically that if at any time the season ends prior to establishing a clear money place value of a third place, first or second, we
Okay.
do the weekly highs are paid out, right? So let's say it
Yeah.
wins week 13. Week 13, we don't have any playoffs. We give everybody's money back minus the weekly highs. Okay?
Okay.
That's true of all situations, right? All situations that's true. So
Even if it's 5 weeks and it
yes,
ends.
5 weeks. We got 5 weeks of weekly highs. Give everybody their money
Okay.
back, right? It's
Okay.
easy that way,
Okay.
right? It's easy, simple.
Yeah.
So now,
Sure.
once you get to the playoffs, the only trick would be then, what if it happens on week 14? Or what if it happens on week 15 before the third place games and all that? We can't determine those winners. I was suggesting
Eh,
give a $50 bonus to all teams that made the playoffs and refund the rest of the money evenly.
Okay. So I'm totally good with that. The question though becomes, what do we do if let me think. So what's the point of the minimum then? Why do we have the minimum weeks?
Yeah. So I kind of wrote this together. I was going to get your thoughts on it. The question
Yeah.
would be, we could just eliminate the minimum and just have this be the general rule.
So my thought was a little different. My
Go
thought
ahead.
was for the minimum,
Okay.
the point of the minimum is that if we hit the minimum
Mm-hmm.
and then, the season ends early, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like after the minimum. So like let's say we pick 12 weeks, then we're at week 13 and the season's over.
Right.
Then we have some other or additional method by which we distribute, the winnings, or we choose a winner. So for instance, the team with the highest number of wins, and or the team with the most points, gets declared the continental champion.
Okay.
Something like that, right?
Okay.
Like a little bit different from. So that was the point of the minimum. Is like, okay, we make it valid, but we have some method by which we declare the winner. That's different from first
So
place, second place, third place.
So maybe I should, yeah, no, I get what you're saying. So I was thinking it would be just much easier to do it this way. And realistically, I was just thinking like, okay, well, if we end on week 11, let's say, or week 10, let's say whatever the week that's maximum, like 12 weeks, that's a valid week.
Mhm.
It's very, I mean, whatever system we're going to come up with, it's going to be really hard to like, I don't want to say justify, but to like differentiate between teams when you just haven't had that playoff game. You know what I mean? It's tough to say like, oh, well, one team had more, if we're just do overall points, it'd be easy to say that, yeah, overall points. But what if, the first place team is in first, has a 10-3 record, doesn't have the most overall points, another team is.
So then we do both. We say we give. So this would be a thought. So let's say we pay out all the weekly highs.
Right.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So let's
The
say
weekly high is going to happen no matter what.
Yeah, exactly. So that's
Okay.
So let's say we pick 12 weeks, right? And then
Mhm.
week 13, the season's over, done, right? So the weekly highs that we've paid up to that point are, and I'm just bringing up the money so we could be very clear in how we do it,
Yeah.
right? But so we pay out, let's say, if it's $50 for weekly highs, is that what we pay out? I can't remember what weekly highs were.
It's
Is it
$50 each week, so it's
Yeah.
it's $650
So
total. for 13 weeks.
$600, yeah. So let's say it ends right before week 13, right?
Okay. Mhm.
So we played 12 weeks, we hit the minimum. So we paid out $600 worth of weekly highs, right?
Mhm.
And then what we do is we take another X amount of dollars. So for instance, if we go, let's see, how much is the total? What do we pay? What's the
So
pay-in
the
for
total is 300 a piece.
Okay, perfect.
I put 100 for the website, but so it's 3,500 total.
Okay, so 3,500 total.
Yeah.
There you go. So let's say you pay everyone back 50% of what they bought in. Okay, so everyone
Okay.
gets back $150.
Okay.
Because it was a shortened season. Right?
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So then that's what, $1,750, right? Is the total pool of money that goes back to the players.
Right.
And then $600, right, is the payouts for the weekly highs.
Sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then there's this $1,100 remaining, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we could just do it easy. We say we distribute it amongst the top two for record and top two for points. So what do I mean? So let's say we
could even do it easier than that. We could just say do it based on the rankings at the time, and the tiebreaker would be the total points between or head to head.
Okay, even better. That's fine. Yeah.
So you take the top 4 teams, whoever's in first place, second, third, and fourth, and then
that's it.
And
just distribute it accordingly. And yeah, we have to have some tiebreaker, so I think points would be great. We ignore any divisional crap at that point.
Yeah.
Right. We just keep it simple.
Right.
And basically, whatever is remaining from that 1,750 after you subtracted out the weekly highs, we distribute it the way we normally do, which is I think was like 50%, and then we'll probably do top. I would do top 3. I wouldn't do top 4. I don't think top 4 is
top 3 is fine. Here's my thing though. We could also get a little bit. So the question then would be. So I'll add the question in the survey. One of them will be just giving out a flat, because the other way to do it is just like I propose it, which is you give out a flat amount for every team.
What do you mean? Oh, for the top 3 or whatever?
Yeah, like top 3 or whatever it is. Like,
sure.
The only reason why I'm saying that, and even if we want a lot of bonus for play, like the question is really tough because we don't know when it's going to end. But if it ended in the playoffs, my biggest thing would be if it ended in the playoffs, there's teams that made the playoffs that had a chance to win that amount, and it's like now they don't. It's like, do we have anything in place for them? So what I was thinking was, you give, instead, if anything, to make it a little easier than that, would be that if the season ends at any point, at any time prior to a final outcome of a playoff bracket,
right,
we give out the weekly highs, and then I'm cool with what you said, with maybe just give out a portion of it back, and then whatever's left evenly distributed to whatever. So the question would be, do we stagger it, or we just evenly distribute it, or do it in chunks where like the top 2 teams get $100, the second 2 teams get $50, or what I'm saying, like where it becomes like a first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, like all the teams that
I see. So you're doing like playoff teams in a way.
Right.
I see. That's possible too, for sure. I think I'd be okay with that too. I was almost saying it where you're almost like crowning 3 winners, kind of like in
Right.
an early way. But what you're saying is you're almost crowning the playoff, like the
Yeah.
contenders, right?
Because technically, if we look at the season, it's tough to say that anybody would be a champion at any point it ends. Even if it's valid, it's like,
Right.
how could you really validate that somebody was number one when we've had number one seeds go down all the time? So
Right.
it's really difficult if we're going to say that they're not a champion or they are. It's like, why don't we just make it in tiered groups to say, hey, if you finished in this group, you're going to get like the top 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6.
Hmm.
Then those people get the payout. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could work. I guess I'm just not at that point. Like, who cares about the playoffs? That's kind of my mindset. Like,
Right.
we just crown, because there are no playoffs. So like, you're
No.
not, you're like artificially awarding people playoff winnings in a way.
Well, we're just saying,
You know.
what we're saying, but that way is just saying that we don't want to justify a winner based on a short season is what we're saying. That's what we're saying.
Gotcha.
Since the season
Gotcha.
can never end in a culminated in winner, I don't want to go ahead and start to create some sort of structure that says, oh, this team deserves the $100, the jackpot, because they're a 9-5 record with 1,700 points. And I'm looking at the
Right.
second place team with a 9-5 record and 1,650 points. And you're telling me
Yeah.
that we're going to have to give out. It just doesn't, and then they might have beat them head to head and all. You know what I mean?
No, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
So,
And then the question becomes, so we're gonna basically, the top 6 will get some. So everyone's gonna get their weekly highs.
weekly
plus
highs
the
automatic.
Yeah, automatic.
So
Plus, if we hit the minimum,
right,
then the top 6 will get some
staggered amount.
winnings, some
Yes.
staggered amount winnings as well. Gotcha. And what is the pool that they get that winnings from? Is it a 50% pool? Is it maybe less? I mean,
that's
something we should figure it out.
So
right?
I'll rewrite this question and we'll add that in there to see if people want to do it. We'll have a couple options. We'll put, which way did you want to do it? Did you want to do it where it's a 50% thing? Did you want to do it where it's a flat thing? Did you want to do it where actually people get first, second, and third? Whatever.
Right. And I would do it a little differently too. Don't say if it ends before the third place or championship.
Oh
game.
yeah, no, I'm gonna change all this.
If the minimum hits, right? If the minimum number of weeks hits, then this is the payout. Are you cool with that?
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And that way, here's the thing, right? Because if we get into the playoffs, like if the playoffs starts, right, and we go through the first round, and then it ends, right? I would still suggest at that point you just give whatever to the playoff teams or to the that gets kind of tricky because
that's what I was thinking. That's why this question came up, is because for me, we could do it every way, and then once we get to the playoffs, that's the problem. It's the playoffs for me is the issue, which is why I even kind of like leaving it at 13 weeks as being a full valid season.
Because that's when the playoffs start anyway.
Right. It makes a clear cut situation. But I mean, it's up to figure it out. But the question would be when the playoffs happen, but we could still do it even if it was in the second round. Let's say it ended in the second round. We would know at that point that the 5th and 6th place teams who they were, so we can give them a 5th and 6th payout, which would be low.
Gotcha.
And then if they didn't play, and if we didn't play that semifinal game, the 4 teams that were remaining, we would be able to figure out where the rankings are and do that. And even if they played it and they moved to the final, we would just split up the divvy out. We'd just split in half the winnings of the jackpot if we had to. So it's just that first round of that playoff game that's going to make it a little difficult. So
gotcha. Yeah.
Okay.
So something like that. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So let's move on. Let's go. COVID IR spots. So the winners basically it wasn't a winner, but 1 and 2 and 3 and 5. If you included 2, the other one, which was 6 or more, 2 people voted for that.
Yep.
We could have had between 1 and 2 and 3 and 5. So I just put 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't put 5 just because 3 to 5 is was 3 spots and 2 was the first one. So
I'm thinking the number 3. I think that's what I would select, to be honest. But then this thing's gonna be weird, man. You saw what happened with Stafford recently, right? Like, does he have COVID? Oh no, like, hey, and then now I guess his wife came out saying like, what a disaster, like, she got pissed off, like, So they might, like I said, they might decide to do something different where they don't announce these things because yeah, I mean, look, you can announce a false positive, you can announce, like, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not even sure they have the right to announce names, but that might
Well,
be something that the players union, agreed to, I guess.
at some point though, that we're gonna find out the person's out, and whether out for, I'm
Yeah,
sure
but
it's
it might
gonna.
not say COVID. It might not
Yeah,
say COVID
well,
IR. That's
that's
the
where,
problem.
but they're doing that with right now with baseball. So I don't know if that's gonna. You're right. There could possibly be not an issue. It could be an issue where we don't know. But let's assume for
Yeah.
the fact of the matter they do that we do know. We're gonna say you saying three.
Uh-huh.
Three
Yeah,
is what you're doing. Yeah, I was leaning
that's
two or three. One of those two.
sure.
Between there.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the next question, because this question for me answers this question a little bit.
Sure.
Bench spots.
Okay.
You keep it at 7 or you add one more?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, let's see.
So here's my thoughts on it. My thoughts are, if I was going to go 2 or 3 here, I would do
Yeah,
the opposite here. Just
that's a good
because
point. Yeah,
because
yeah.
we're going to be thinning the wire really
Right,
big
right,
with
right.
this.
I like that. I would do two, and I would add one more.
So you're
That's what
going to
I
go
would do.
2 and 1?
Yeah, and the reason for that is I feel like it gives you a little bit more leeway to plan. Because there might be guys who get declared out the day of, or the day before or something. Um, yeah. I mean, here's another thing, right? If I was, apparently they came out with some new like hotline or something that players can call,
Mm-hmm.
right? To like, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
complain that others may have had COVID or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And
Start ratting people
so
out.
yeah, you start writing people out. Like you're gonna have, bench. I mean, like, second stringers, like, saying
Right.
that the first stringer has COVID, or or like, team. Maybe I don't know if they could, they could call in for other teams' players or not. But you could call in other teams. Like there could be a lot of game theory stuff going on, and man, it's gonna be weird.
Yeah. I'm
I like the bench spot because it allows you to plan a little bit more in advance.
Yeah, I'm a little torn on this, because part of me does not want to. I don't want to. So we don't know what's going to happen, which is obviously we're preparing for the unknown, which
Hmm.
could very well be a disaster, like you're saying. But then we have to consider the flip side. I mean, what if there is not that much of an effect on our gameplay? In other words, we do have the amount of players you would normally see out on a weekly basis are pretty much out. And
Hmm.
the question would be, do we want to radically change? What if that doesn't change? Do we want to radically change the gameplay? Because adding another bench spot is going to really change things on the wire a lot. Like you said, it's
Yeah, it's
going
true.
to create more hoarding of players. Like, in other words, you're going to have more options to keep. Whereas the COVID replacement IR spots are just temporary. This becomes permanent. So the question is,
Hmm.
because once you drop these guys if you put 3 COVID IR spots, you drop them in the IR, you've got 3 roster spots now open.
Yeah,
And
that's a good point.
at most, I'm trying to think, okay, let's think about this. Let's say you had, how many players would you have from each team on your roster? At most, maybe 3 if you were the Chiefs, maybe if you stack the Chiefs. So I go back to, like, okay, let's say the Chiefs game is canceled because of COVID. Let's say even hypothetically you had 3 players on each team playing against each other, the Chargers and the Chiefs. That's 6 players, right? If we give them 3 COVID IR spots, that's 3 players you pick up. And that's assuming that those 6 players are all starters, which obviously Chiefs probably could be, but who knows about the other ones. So you'd have 3 players you pick up. I would have to think at some point there's going to be at least 1 player you can drop that you don't need if you need to. And you would also have, guys on the bench that you're going to be able to play. Now, the bye weeks are going to be the issue. It's going to be a lot of headache. So
Yeah,
I'm just thinking this through, is thinking, like, what's the worst case scenario? I can't see a scenario where I'd see all, like, you have 9 starter spots, actually 7
right.
because of the kicker and all that. I can't see a scenario you have 7 spots to fill that you would actually have all 7 guys and
Yeah,
half your bench gone. Like, I just don't know if
yeah,
that's
yeah.
possible.
Yeah, now that you bring that up, I think yeah, I think we shouldn't add the bench spot because yeah, I forget that you put someone in the COVID IR, you're gonna pick up another guy,
Right.
right? So um and the other thing I'm thinking too that could be a problem is with the extra bench slot on top of all that, right? There could be a lot of other unforeseen issues or unwanted things like people could start hoarding quarterbacks, like if
Yeah.
someone gets declared out and players like quarterbacks, like you might end up with no starting quarterbacks on the
Right.
wire,
Right.
so yeah, I think maybe the COVID IR is probably a better one where you know now hopefully we could have it so that you could only place COVID players on there, right?
Mhm.
So people don't abuse it somehow. um but yeah, I think that might be the better option there.
Yeah, and I'm also with you on that. And my biggest also concern would be that, like you said, they people pick up all these. Like, think about it. If it comes Sunday morning, we got 12 teams,
Yeah,
everybody going to the wire, and
yeah,
then they have an extra spot. You wouldn't get a lot of guys
yeah,
dropped maybe right away on Wednesday and Thursday.
yeah,
So who knows what else
yeah.
can happen? Um,
Dude, think about the playoffs. You could start hoarding all
yeah,
the defenses,
yeah,
or whatever. Like, yeah.
yeah.
But
So
here's the other thing. So I think, I mean, I'm going to go back to this. I don't know if you have it in the survey or not, but we should be able to pivot too. Like maybe midway through the season, this whole thing's going to be done and over. I would love to have the option to just change the rules to get rid of the COVID IRs, you know, or let's say this thing becomes even worse and it's just not working out properly. Maybe we add another COVID IR.
yeah,
Um,
that
you
shouldn't be
know,
an issue. I think that's a fair point. If it was to go away, COVID IR, we can all use the IRs for COVID. So
yeah,
that's what's stipulated. So that's good. And if we needed to
yeah,
add something, we could all vote on it unanimously, and we'd all
right,
probably see, like, I think we'd probably tell this is becoming a real big issue that we'd have to add it. I
yeah,
know a lot of leagues are doing unlimited. They're doing unlimited IR spots
mm,
for the COVID. I just again for that, to me, that feels a little, that might be a little much, because I feel like you're going to have a situation where,
yeah,
again, you're going to have unlimited roster spots now opening up for yourself.
right.
For
Well,
play,
what happens if this thing gets really bad
right.
and we almost do need unlimited COVID IR
Well,
spots?
the
Yeah,
one thing we talked about too is we're going to maybe have to talk about putting something in place that if a player, you know, if you got, we talked about this, but maybe guys who are like eliminated and you have no options, and you could
yeah,
pick up a guy, like a quarterback. You don't have a quarterback on your roster. You got screwed because of COVID. Players were out in the
yeah,
afternoon and all
yeah.
that crap.
Oh yeah,
So
getting rid of that rule. Right, right, right.
so
Yeah,
I don't know. We're gonna get rid. We already got rid of the starter rule, but if we could do something, we do something. We go to
yeah,
the free agency or something for player teams. We might have to
yeah,
do
yeah,
that. Um,
yeah.
all
Okay.
right. Here's your favorite question, Sai. Kicker.
keep,
Keep.
keep, keep,
All right.
keep, keep, keep.
I'm
That
leaving.
one's for Shant. That one's for Shant. Keep.
So I'm leaving eliminate, but that's just me. Um, you know, uh, I'd love to put a flex in there.
Ah,
Now, if we eliminate the kicker, you replace him with what? Now, assume you got to vote on
mhm.
this. You got to vote on this as if we eliminated, because otherwise you're not going to be part of this voting process right here.
So wait, why are you, why? Why does that, why do we have to eliminate the kicker to have an extra roster spot?
We don't.
So then why did you say that?
I'm saying if you don't want to replace him with anything, you just eliminate the kicker.
I don't get it.
I have
No,
three. Listen, I
uh,
have three. I have the
but look
question
at no, no,
separate.
look how you start off that question. If we eliminate kicker,
Right. So
which would
let's
you prefer to replace with?
so
What?
let's so
I
Sai,
keep it separate. Keep the two separate.
I did. I'm
Yeah.
going to add another one right here. It says separate from the kicker question if you want to add a starting position regardless. So
Oh,
first we got to decide if the kicker is going to be eliminated, right?
okay.
Right?
But no, 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 don't mix those two. Just have the question that says kicker position. We'll keep the kicker, eliminate the kicker.
Okay.
Period. That's it.
Yes.
And then the next question, regardless, like don't even put anything about the kicker there. Just say, would you like to add an extra slot? And what would it be?
Okay, so
That's
let's
it.
hypothetically say this. If the kicker gets eliminated and nobody wants to replace it with anything,
That's fine.
so that could be a possibility.
That could be a possibility.
So if they want to keep the kicker and add a hot
Hmm.
spot, they go keep kicker and do that. Yeah?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll work. I was gonna
That's
do
just
it
my
as a
thought. I
separate
mean,
thing.
I don't think you need to replace the kicker technically. Like we could vote on that, but I mean, I like the idea, to be honest. Not to replace the kicker, but I'll keep the kicker and add another roster slot. I
Okay.
mean, most leagues out there now are like, for instance, they're 3 wide receiver leagues.
Yeah, so I guess
So
you're right, because if I said eliminate the kicker and then add a spot for the kicker, you could technically have two starter spots added, which is too much.
that's crazy.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's too much.
we'll eliminate this right here.
Okay.
We'll do, so forget this
So
one. Now
what did you have as the options there? So
it's either add a wide receiver, a flex with the
okay,
multi-flex, or
okay.
nothing.
And just leave it alone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll change this later.
Yeah.
Now the other question would be for the kicker. If we do keep the kicker, do we want to change the point values a little bit?
Okay.
So one would be to reduce the kicker point values from like a 5-4-3 to like a 3-2-1, so they're less impactful. The other one would be fractional points, which they now have in Yahoo. But the problem with this is obviously this is going to create a bigger gap between kickers.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think it's gonna create a smaller gap.
So think about it. Let's just say right now, if right now I have a kicker and my kicker has two 20-yard field goals, those are that's 6 points, right?
Okay.
Your kicker has a 50 and a 40-yard field goal. Yeah.
Okay.
You have 9 points. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm getting 3 for my twos. Now, if we did fractional points, you're going to get 9 points still with your 50 and 40. I'm only going to get 4 points though, because of a 20 yarders are now 2.0. So the gap widens now between the kickers. Great kickers that kick 50 yarders are going to be.
Oh, what? Wait. I guess I'm confused though. If you're giving 3 points for the 20-yarder.
Now I'm doing that now with our scoring system right now.
Okay, so no, but then fractional points. Does it have to be where 23 becomes 2.3?
Yes.
Oh. See, I thought it's the 3 plus a 3. You know what
No.
I'm saying? A 0.3. Oh, I see.
So 19.
So I would do this. That might actually, that might be okay though. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
If the current points are 5, 4, 3, right?
Yeah.
In general, you're reducing all the points down a notch, because right now for the 20-point ones, any like 22, 25, 26, 29, you're giving 3 points, right?
Right.
So we're going to reduce that because now they're going to get 2 point whatever instead.
Yeah, but you're broadening the scale. So now, because your 29 becomes 3. See, 29 and 21 were both 3. Now 29 is 2.9 and 21 is 2.1. So you've created an 0.8 gap in between those field goals.
So similar to the defense question, and we'll get to that obviously, but I'm okay with differentiation,
right,
as long as the points are lower. Like, okay.
Yeah, so but I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Within the position are, for me, good, but comparing kicker points to like quarterback points, they should obviously be much less, right?
Yeah. So what this would create is, since what you're saying, and this is what I agree with you, is that it's going to create differentiation between the kickers themselves. It's going to be a wider gap. The tiers are going to be wider.
Correct.
So now kickers are going to be much more valuable, and can provide a bigger impact.
Well, okay. Why would there be more valuable? Because overall, in relation to other players on your roster, like other positions on your roster, the kickers are less now.
In relation to others on my roster, they're less. But so the goal of this was to bring. So I guess we were talking about it as a sense that we didn't want to have a kicker get 25 points, right? Like 20 points. That was kind of where this stemmed from. Those high points.
Because they were really high. I agree. Right.
So in that sense, this does help lower them.
Right.
From that impact compared to other positions. I would argue not as much as possible. I don't think it's as like if we did.
You want it lowered even more, right?
Because this it does lower. You're right, but I'm saying if we compared it like 3-2-1 scale, I don't know. I don't know what the best alternative
are
is.
so you can't put like I asked, like the fractional points, they have to be exactly what the yardage is.
Yes.
So okay,
Yes.
so
It becomes
45 yarder is 4.5 no
4.5.
matter what.
Yes, it
Damn.
becomes just like the other positions with fractions.
Oh man. Like yeah, it would have been nice if you can have the scale down. So for instance, the 40s are 3 points, right?
Mhm.
But the 45 would be 3.5 points, right? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
if you could do that, that would be the most ideal
it
scenario.
would. My issue is that because you're going to create a new problem. Right now, the
Mhm.
tiers between the kickers aren't as wide, so they're not as crazy. Although like 1 year Zerline or whatnot went crazy, but now I feel like if we did this, we're going to create a really bigger gap, and we're going to have a lot more impact by the kicker. I don't know.
Right.
On a weekly gameplay basis, which is I don't think is the point. Um, Ultimately, I think which one would you vote for? What would you feel?
I mean, if that's the case where you're limited to requiring those, I would actually probably do the first option and just lower the points across the
Lower the
board.
points, yeah. I
Yeah.
I, I agree with that.
Don't get me wrong, like I want kickers to remain, but I don't want them to be that impactful
Right. I
in
agree.
relation to other positions, right? So I would say now 5-4-3, we can bring it down to 4-3-2
Right.
or maybe 3-2-1, however, you know.
Right.
I would lean towards 4-3-2, but that's,
Yeah. No, that's fine.
in my
That's fair.
opinion.
That's sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as my whole thing is I just think that the cap on the kicker, a great kicker week, should be something less than, I mean, 20 would be max, but like
Right.
those things need to happen like very few and far between in my mind. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have,
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
15 points is a good kicker week, like that'd be good.
Right.
You can hit
Right.
that. And I think
Yeah,
that's
like
one of the things,
50 yard plus field goals should be 4 points.
right.
You know, 40 to 49, 3 points. Uh, let's see, 30 to 39, 2 points. And then anything under 30, 1 point, something like that.
Right.
To keep it
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah. And I think this is something we're going to talk about with defenses as well, is because the kicker situation, we got to think about what is our target? Like, what do we want? What do we want the most kickers to get? Like, that's the kind of thing at the end of the year. How do we want, we
Yeah.
want the kicker to be as like a good wide receiver 3, like as that kind of a point value. And once we figure that
Mhm.
out, like you could figure out the point system based on that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Right.
Um, Divisions.
Keep them.
That's what I'm
I
talking about.
just to piss off Millie Vanilli.
They won the title. I mean, they don't have a choice in this. They're gonna keep the damn divisions. Wouldn't they want to know that their division? I mean, they want to know their title came with the divisions after all this time. We don't want to eliminate it.
No,
And keepers,
no, keep it.
keep them.
Keep the way it is. I
Keep
like
the
the
way
way
it
it
is.
is.
Yeah,
Where's
people
where's
wanted to
where's
people wanted to
wait,
vote on it.
eliminate?
So I said people voted. I give them options: eliminate the keepers, decrease it from 2 to 1 keeper, shorten the time from 2 years to
Mm,
1 year, increase the keepers or go dynasty. So the opposite,
hmm.
or just don't do anything, keep it as is. I'm preferring
I like.
keeping everything as is.
Yeah, same here.
Now, I'm going to stipulate on this. We need to have like a majority, like a strong majority on one of these. If everybody votes 3 of this, if this is split evenly, we're not going to change anything.
Do you have too many options there? Why don't
Probably
you?
I could limit it, but I just want to put options
Yeah,
just to see, because if there's not
yeah.
if there was a strong case in one of these, like let's say 2 of these got like 6 votes each, then we
Hmm.
could talk about it in the chat and be like, okay, look, or at the draft
Okay,
and say, look, here's the deal.
right.
But if everybody's going to be if this gets like 6 votes, even if it gets like 5, this gets like 1, 2, 1, I mean, then most people are
Yeah,
sticking. It's not a point.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
uh,
The other question is, do you want to reintroduce keeping waiver pickups or free agents,
yeah, nobody brought that up, and I didn't put that in there, but I
non-draft?
mean,
I mean, I like the idea personally, but yeah.
we could if so.
Or here's an option.
Hmm.
You can keep waiver wire pickups or free agents, but only for 1 year. And maybe there's an extra cost that we associate there.
Well, the problem with the waiver pickups and if guys like that, it's going to be the cost. And then number one, it's the cost. Number two, see if we do that, um, we want that pool. It's about that pool, right? Those guys to be kept in the pool. So, you're leaving less options for the draft next year. Well, I mean, we could
Yeah.
bring it up. I'm not going
I
to
mean,
put it.
we can do a flat fee for waiver pickups. Like they cost $25,
I
something
mean,
like that. Like
yeah.
something kind of high, where the person doesn't get a crazy advantage from keeping them, but like, might be worth it. Might be a good method.
Okay. I mean, I'm not gonna put it on the survey. What I'll do is I'll let
Okay.
people bring this up if they want, because we'll have a chance to at the draft or whatever before. If people really want to talk about it, we can talk about it. Because I asked for other on the thing. Nobody put anything other. So these were the main topics. All right.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Defensive points. All right. So let's get into defensive points.
All right.
So the defensive points, this article talks about, I really like what this article talks about. Basically, the goal of the defense was, we talked about this. Defenses, again, like kickers, we should not have a situation where they have 35 points and destroy the week.
Yeah.
More than a quarterback, more than a running back. I mean, that's ridiculous.
So I think our first priority is we just need to lower the overall points that a defense can get in relation to other positions on the roster, just because it's just a defense. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
this article talks about that, and basically its principles, it's really good. It talks about defenses should start with 0 points at kickoff and trend positive through the game like other positions. So one of the arguments is that the defense is the only thing that starts off with a point total for nothing. So it's already given you a set advantage, basically, because if everything stayed the same like last year with the Patriots, they shut somebody out. You're getting all those sacks, interceptions, all that, plus you're getting the 12-point spotting. So that's inflating that score a lot. I think you like that as well, right?
Yeah, I do.
You like the 0 point thing?
Yeah, I think that's cool, because it's kind of weird when you start at 12. You're like, well, that's not going to remain. Let's see where it's, So it's almost like the baseline you're working with. But yeah.
The second point was what we just talked about. Defense squads should not outperform top positional players. In fact, most folks agree they should be far less valuable. I mean, that just goes without saying. We can't. No way a quarterback should be less than a defense, right?
Totally agree.
Okay. And the third one is...
Yeah, it didn't make sense. New England was, scoring that many points every week. That was just too much.
I looked it up. They finished as the 30th overall offensive player. I mean, that's a third round pick. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I mean, like, I understand it was like a major anomaly, but yeah, we can't give defenses that much credit.
Well, not only that, here you look at this. Here it is. If you look at the defenses from last year, the biggest problem with this is that you had New England was 262, Pittsburgh was 202, and then you could just see that if you get down to these middle areas, it's like from 202 to 262. These drops were pretty big, and these were like 35-point games, like you're saying. These are just swinging amounts. It's ridiculous.
Right.
So the last
I
one
like
was,
that second point. Yeah.
Yeah. The second point was that it should not outperform. The third point was there should exist a tiered value of elite defense performance through a full season compared to good, middle, and bad defenses. Again, like the tiers that exist on most other positions, right? These are the three things that we're striving for.
Gotcha.
Can I agree?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So he goes through this, and I'm not going to kind of go, but he goes through basically looking at vanilla rankings of what you would get from the vanilla rankings and going back and taking his method and putting it into some of these historical amounts to see how the Patriots would finish.
I'm going to ask you to hold for a second. You can do your you can do your shit talking, but give me a minute, okay? I'll be back.
Oh, is it Cobra Kaka?
Yes, I'll be right back.
Looks like Cobra Awesomeness has to go take a gaga. So let me tell you guys what basically we're doing here. So this was the article. I know I mentioned it before. Syed right now is going to take care of his little one who's probably crying. It's ironic because crying is something that Cobra Kaka does a lot in fantasy. He's gotten used to it, whining, crying about something, then whining about it. Yeah, it's nothing new in that Chakarian household of fantasy football. All right. And he's back. Good. Thank you. So Hey, you're still muted, buddy. Still muted. All right. All
All
right. You
right,
back?
there we
Everything's
go.
good?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Little guy was crying.
so
He was like,
basically,
"Don't change the defense rules. Don't."
well, we're not going to change anything really. We're going to just totally redo everything,
Uh-huh.
rebuild. So one of the things that he talks about in this, and it's true, he said, negative mechanisms, because what, like you're saying, is that there's not a lot of opportunity where these defenses can lose points, and especially where we have it right now. We don't have
Hmm.
any value that other than points allowed. And if it's realistically, that's only going to be 4 points off of the cumulative total of all they're adding. So that's one problem. And the other
Uh-huh.
problem is you don't have these middle defenses, and these little ones, they don't have different ways of earning points, if you think about it.
Okay.
So you don't have a lot of opportunities. So you have a team like, for example, that is like, let's say, the Rams, who might be a decent defense, and they don't get a lot of interceptions or fumbles, but they might hold a team to like 7, 10 points, right? But don't get those extracurriculars. Solid outing, but they don't get the sort of jump in stats, and they might have done a lot of good things. And so if you play them against, let's say, the Patriots, you have this big gap in a game, whereas a defense that's like the Rams, who played really well, probably should have gotten some more points for it. I mean, that's how we would create that middle group, right? That's how you'd want to create a middle group of, like, a middle class of defenses that are not going to wow you. They might not do all the interceptions and fumbles, but they'll actually have some chances to earn some points to keep a solid middle ground, right? I mean, I don't know if you agree with that or not.
Yeah, but here's the thing. So what's the proposal there to address that? Is it
So
you give points for certain yards allowed tiers?
no,
Is that what that is?
no.
Okay.
So what the perform? Let's just get right down to what he breaks it down as. So this is, he
Yep,
did it
yep,
for
yep.
everything, and basically you could read it later. It's ESPN and Yahoo, but I'll go to Yahoo. So Yahoo's
Mhm.
standard is, he brings it up, is like this, and we have something similar where we give point values right here, right? So
Yeah.
his proposal is to, and he's tried this out, but here we'll go through the categories. The essence of it is that everybody starts at 0, and you have negative mechanisms put in place with yards allowed and points allowed. Okay. So if your
Okay.
defense is giving up yards and giving up points, obviously that's a bad defense. It hasn't earned anything that they're, that's where you're going to lose points as a defense. So when you look at the yard points allowed, you'd start at 0. So right now we start, let's say, at 12, you go to 0. If you allow 6 points, you still stay at 0. Okay. So you're rewarded for low, but once you start hitting the 7 to 13, you lose a point. Okay. So you start dropping
Okay.
up to negative
So you're
5.
hitting the negatives. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So, and in yards allowed, you got zeros all the way up until 300 points. So if you don't allow 300 yards as a team, you still don't get any points off. But again, you're not getting any
Yeah.
points. And then you
Okay.
subtract based on more yardages.
So I'm gonna challenge your premise here, and I don't exactly buy you or what this guy says in that you're giving other defenses a chance to earn points. Like, let's say if they're giving up a lot of points, but at the same time, they're doing pretty good with the yardage, right? Or not giving up as many yards, or vice versa. Um, you're rewarding them for that. I
You're,
actually think it's the opposite, because what's going to happen is, because look, think about it. A team that's giving up 27 points, right? Like in this example, you get -3 there. Well, most likely, or let's go higher than that, 35 plus points, right?
okay.
So
By the way,
team giving up,
before you go on, we can
go ahead.
adjust these negative numbers to be whatever we want. We're just saying this is
Yeah,
the scale. So let's just say for right
yeah.
now, use what he has. But go ahead.
So I mean, basically, if a team's given up 35 points,
Mm-hmm.
then they're most likely giving up more than 400 yards. Like, you're not going to get scored 35 points against you and not give up that many yards. Like, there's a correlation between yards given up and points given up. Like, I don't need to be a statistician to tell you that, right? Um,
So
very likely,
to counter that,
more often than not. Yeah, go ahead.
no, I want to just to that point. I want to say that yes, you're probably right. If you're playing the Cleveland Browns defense, or somebody's, I don't know, let's say the Jets defense, or I don't know, Tampa Bay's last year, right? Tampa Bay's defense, you're playing them. First of all, I don't know how often you'd be playing those types of defenses. That would just be obliterated. But let's just say you did. Okay, you got screwed. The points that you're right. You're doing that from that end. But just like you said, example like the Patriots. The Patriots then, if you're playing against the Patriots, it also works for their favor is because they can at least get some yard. You can have an offense that scores yards on them and get points off of them. So like it's gonna bring them down a little bit too.
But
like there was a lot of games. I'll give you an example of this.
Get that.
But I'll give you an example. There were a lot of games where the 49ers, who was a great defense, gave up a ton of yards. They didn't give up a lot of points. They gave up a ton of yards. But they also got sacks and a bunch of interceptions. So
But could we not agree that
generally, yes.
Generally, yes, but that's what we could work off of. I mean,
so, hold on, but wait, but you're not finishing the whole situation here. So let's look at the whole thing as a whole. Okay.
Okay.
So first off, that's the negative part of it. Now, again, we can drop this lower. We don't have to go to -5. You could go to -3 if you wanted, right? You can shorten that window up. If you're concerned about that, we can say, okay, instead of -5,
cap it or something.
Right. We'll go 0-0.
Just reward like very good yardage performances, something like that.
Yeah. So you could do something like that if you wanted to. Do 1.10 -1 if you wanted or something. I don't know.
Right.
But here's the bigger
I guess
point.
The reason why is because like if your team just bombs, right, they're gonna get -5 and then another -5. You're already at -10.
So let's just look at this though. Now here's where I agree with. So let's just say the worst case scenario, you got that -10, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Now here's what happens though. He's added a couple of stat categories which are really kind of useful that happen for a lot of defenses. So, for example, you're going to get the sacks. The sacks stay the same. One point he did make, he changed the defensive touchdown and kick return touchdowns to be offset by 2 points, just because, again, we talked about this. But if you get a defensive touchdown, you get a pick six, or you get a fumble recovery, that's actually 2 points on top of that 6. So if a team were to get a kickoff return, you're not getting that 2 points. So that kind of offsets it. If you want to really offset it, it's got to be the 8. So that each side, if let's say you got a defensive touchdown, I got a kick return, it really would offset both of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that keeps that more balanced.
Even these categories, maybe not the return ones, but like, again, more than likely teams that allow very few points or allow very few yards are getting these stat categories, right? So what's going to happen is the rich will get richer, the poor will get poorer. Like there's going to be much more significant disparity between, the top defenses and the bottom defenses. So, I guess, in some way we might be reducing the overall points that these teams can get, but negative points are points too, right? So like, I don't know if I think the idea is nice to reduce the points, but I'm not 100% convinced that this is the way to do it.
So hold on, before you move on real quick, let me just say this. We can adjust a lot of these numbers to make what we need. My thing is this, for example, 3 and outs, 4th down stops, tackles for loss. Okay.
I like those. Yeah.
Those are 3 static categories where if just giving a half a point for a tackle for loss, a lot of defenses, no matter when, you could talk about every defense in the league probably at some point in the game is going to be getting tackles for loss, even if they're getting their asses kicked.
Well, I mean, but the better defenses are going to get more of those. Come on.
Relatively speaking, generally speaking, defenses who are like obviously really great are going to get a little more. But again, we're not spotting them 12 points like we were.
Yeah, but you kind of are. Like,
you're not. But they have to.
You're rewarding them for the -5.
So here's the argument. Here's the argument. What you're saying is that these good defenses are always gonna be good. Basically the way we had it was that you're actually benefiting the good defenses by 12 points because they were automatically going to be one of these categories. And like you're saying, the bad defenses are going to be in these categories. Well,
okay,
now,
so
you have
in that case,
huh?
Yeah. In that case, we just need to do something similar to what we're suggesting with the kickers. We just need to bring down all the levels.
But see,
Um,
I like the idea of adding these small little bits because
sure, we could do that.
again, if we do this, um, it's not
I
it's
like those too, to be honest. I like those categories. Um, I like the way the scoring is too, like three and outs and fourth down. Maybe three and outs are too much. I wouldn't do three and outs. Maybe
why
like tackles for. You don't think there's like too many of those that occur per game?
no. But again, like I said, like we
Maybe
want
0.25.
see
You
we're
know.
but you got to understand inside we're starting at 0. Okay, so think about this: if your team does not get a defensive touchdown, like you don't get these, you're
Mhm.
going negative, and the only way you're getting these are getting through sacks, fumble recoveries, and interceptions, and these.
Right.
Like
Right.
you're not going. You're very unlikely going to go to 25 points or 20 points in this way.
Yeah. I think okay, we need to do a little bit more research into this one. I'm gonna be honest, because I'm still not convinced that this will do what we're looking for it to do.
See,
Um,
I think if we took
we need to
these,
maybe run through a few scenarios. Like let's pick a few of those New England games and see what they would have scored in
okay,
this new system.
I'll do that.
You know?
I'll look at the New England game. Good idea. Yeah, I was
Yeah. Like
real.
let's take some top defense games, let's take some bottom defense games, and then let's think about what the average will be, you know?
So what? Real quick, I was proposing. What I liked is this.
Mhm.
I would like. I would have liked to added these categories. The
Sure.
gist of it is this, and tell me if you agree with this. I
Okay.
like the idea of adding these little categories with little point values that increase, starting things at 0, and also offering only a negative adjustment. Whether or not you want to go all the way to yards allowed as well, I would suggest even, or you want to limit it instead of 5, go down to 3. Point being,
Yeah.
you start at
Maybe
0 and you add
yeah.
add these categories.
Okay. So I think that's a little bit more palatable. I think we need to just not because doing the points and doing the yards is like you're doing a double whammy. You know, you're like you're punishing the bad defenses twice, you know?
Okay.
And essentially as a result you're also rewarding the good defenses twice. So
But you're not
that
but you're not rewarding the good. Okay, so you're rewarding again no
but
under 300 yards.
relatively speaking, I
Yes.
agree you're not giving them points, but relative to the bad defenses, they're doing much better.
Okay.
That makes a difference, you know?
So for your
So
sake, you would say what? For if you were to use anything from here, what would you say to do? What would you be
I
for?
mean I like those new stat categories. I wonder how many of those occur per game. Maybe I would drop the three and out one to 0.25, maybe, instead of 0.5.
Honestly,
It
they're
seems
not that
like
many. 3 and outs are not as many as you think.
really. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Um,
I would assume,
okay.
I would guess by mind, how are you thinking it happened a game? You think?
Mm, I don't know, 10.
No, yeah, I don't think it's that many. I think it's something like
Mm,
5. Yeah. But we'll see. I'll look it
all right.
up. We'll look it up. Okay, so
Okay.
reduce this. You like tackles for loss?
Yeah, I think that's a decent one. But is that kind of does it get um is it captured pretty clearly? Like, yeah, okay,
Yeah, it's any tackle behind the line of scrimmage with a negative
gotcha.
yardage. So
And do we know how many of those occur per game?
do not know specifically. I would
Yeah.
again assume. Again assume. Well, let's think about it. How many times does a running back run the ball? How many times do teams run the ball?
Um,
Cobra Awesomeness has disappeared. He's looking it
like
up.
30
30 times, let's say. So how many
ish.
times you think a running back stop behind
Oh
the
wait,
line?
what happened? You can't see my screen?
No, it's okay. How many times
Oh wait, it's
does
real.
a running
Hold on.
back stop behind the line? You think?
Did that just happen or was it always like that?
No, it just happened.
Oh, okay.
I'm guessing. I'm guessing it probably happens about max 10 times.
I'll tell you right now. Uh, tackles for loss. Oh, it's gonna be really good to have the Rams then in that case, huh? With Donald.
And see, I don't mind. Here's where here's where I'm at with this. I don't. My goal, my purpose would be to lower the overall. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to lower the ceiling. I don't want. I don't think. I think 20 points should be a max great game for the defenses. Okay.
Okay.
So that would you agree with that or no?
Well, um,
Like,
I
what are we
would
shooting
agree,
for?
but yeah, so I would agree. 20 max, yes, I think that's a great max.
Uh-huh.
But you can't deny if you're also getting a bunch of minus 20s,
No, I
then
agree. Sure.
the 20 is like 40 at that point,
Yes, I know. Yes, you're right. So
right?
well, let's just say
You
first,
have to think of that range. But
right? We
yes,
want the
20,
range.
I like the number 20.
We want
You know
20 as
that,
the top end, and we don't want
right?
less than like -5 lower end, right?
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
So that's
Something
fine. I
like
agree
that.
with that. We
Yes,
agree there. And the second
that's
thing I want
perfect.
to say is I don't think, and I don't know about you, I don't mind having the I don't mind having differentiation in the positions. It's fine to have, for me, a defenses that are good and you should pick from. I don't have a problem with that. You know, I
Okay.
don't have a problem with putting more value on a certain defense than not, and that should be. And good if you want to, if you want to say something like, well, we're going to reward these good defenses and make it a little more difficult for teams, then that's fine for me, because that's kind of how it is with other positions, right? Those are tight ends.
Right,
Tight
right.
ends. How many great tight ends are there? There's a few. There's a lot, and there's nothing else. So
Sure, sure.
I'm not against that part of it.
No, no, I'm good with that. I just my problem was we're doing a
What's the
double
gap?
whammy because there's a lot of correlation between these, you know? Like most likely you're allowing a few points, you're also going to be hitting on all these other areas. And
Right.
that's I think where the problem is, right? Like
Hmm.
you're giving them double points for stuff, you know? So technically for a great defensive game, a shutout, you're getting like 10 points,
Right.
you know? Um
Well, we're gonna have to, I guess, look at specifically how much of this stuff appears in a game.
mhm,
Um, the one thing he did here, which I loved, I wish we could do it. We don't. He put it as Yahoo can. He split recoveries and forced fumbles to be 1 point each, so you'd actually get a point for a forced fumble, but you can't do that in
okay.
Yahoo. So I don't know what he did. He actually upped the interceptions to 3, to do that as well. I don't
Oh, interesting.
think we need. I don't think we need to do that. Um,
No, I don't either.
I don't mind upping the safety though.
Yeah, sure. I'm fine with that. I mean, that doesn't happen often. It's
Right.
like
We already got a
once or
block kick. I
twice.
think is 3, but
Okay.
safety. But safeties. I think safety and block kicker are both 3 right
Yeah.
now for us.
I mean, let's play it out, right? Like, let's look at a few scenarios of really good games. Let's look at a few scenarios of really bad games,
Right.
and then something in
So
between. You
so
know?
what I'm going to propose on the survey is going to be that I just put it as a general question about the proposal. So if people want it, if we say yes, then that means that we're going to figure out something that's best, that we're going to start with 0. We're
Yeah.
going to add some of these other categories in. And should I split this up as a question, or should I just put it as one? Like, should I say add 3 and outs, 4 stops, and all that, or should I just put it as one package?
Um. Oh man. Yeah. I probably put it in one. It seems like a lot
Right.
of questions
So I'm
to ask.
basically what everybody's going to vote on is just whether or not they like this concept. If they like the
Right.
concept, we'll figure out the right way to do it. The idea would
Sure.
be start at 0, you lose points for points allowed, then you earn your points with other stat categories that way.
Sure.
Okay. All right. I know it's late, dude. We're almost done. You holding up okay? You ready to get out of here?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm getting there, but I'm good.
Okay. So we're gonna finish this up with our awesomeness dedication. So right now we know that awesomeness birthday. We've decided that we're going to pick the top 5 all awesomeness team. Now these are the guys that these are like the quintessential awesomeness players that we would
Yeah.
associate with Dave, right?
Who he can pick still to like today or in the past?
Well, how did you do it?
Because a lot of them are still active. I mean, somehow he picks the guys who just stick around.
Yeah. I mean, he's timeless in that way. He's timeless. So did you think of him as far as how did you think of it as?
I thought of whoever's active today.
Okay.
But you're gonna see like these guys. I mean, Jesus, yeah. But yeah.
So it's good that you did yours active because I did mine all time.
Okay.
So historical.
Okay.
And when I say these names, I think we'll both agree. I think we'll find that these are truly.
I'm sure a lot of them are still active.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So So did you have any honorable? So let's just start this. I'll lead it, and then you could jump in after me.
Okay, by the way, are we picking like one quarterback, two running backs, like that type of thing, or just
no,
any players?
any players.
Okay.
So if you want to
Okay.
do each position, you can.
No, because I have
I
two quarterbacks that he would have, like
okay.
all time awesomeness.
Okay.
Uh,
Let me start with a couple of honorable mentions, if we can.
Sure.
Did you have any honorable mentions or no?
I think Dwayne Bowe is probably one honorable mention.
Okay.
He didn't quite make the cut for me, but I think that was a guy for him.
So I went back through and every single draft looked at who he drafted. And so here's my honorable mentions. I've got 3 of them.
Okay.
And my rule was that I couldn't it's difficult to put a keeper as now with the keepers, because if you keep him, I mean, he kind of had a choice to keep him. He's a good player. Of course he would, obviously, if it's that type of player. So my 3 honorable mentions, I'll just put them out here. We both know this is true. Devontae Adams he's a current keeper. He's been on this team 3 times. That just goes without. That's a quintessential awesomeness type of a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I agree.
My second honorable mention was drafted by Awesomeness 3 times. I can't even say. This is again poster child of what kind of a player Awesomeness wants is quarterback Tom Brady.
I'm surprised. I didn't think he drafted him 3 times.
3 times, drafted him 3 times. But again, it's just that consistently, not, he was really good when he was back then, but it's just not a sexy, like flashy kind of quarterback. He doesn't, Deshaun Watson, nothing like that. Just,
right.
He's good. He just knows him. He's good.
Yeah.
He's good. And the last guy, my honorable mention, drafted, he's on his team twice. And I think he's picked him up probably about 6 times. Now 49er, Jordan Reed. And I'm sure he's going to grab him again this year.
Yes, 100%. He's going to draft him.
He's going to pick him up for sure. So those are my honorable mentions.
I'm gonna nominate him just so he has to pay $2 for him.
And knowing his luck, he's probably going to last the whole season and be okay.
Oh
no
my
concussion.
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So you're number 5.
Yeah.
Give
All
me
right.
a number 5.
So with me it was a little bit different. So I didn't really I didn't really go back and look at who he drafted or any of that. For me, it was like one, who do I remember Dave always picking up or drafting or always having on his roster? Like when I looked at Dave's roster, because I look at teams' rosters all the time, because I'm always thinking trade and what could I do and who could I send him his way and whatnot. And so I'm always thinking about that. So I always have these certain types of players stuck in my head that I know are on Dave's team, right? I didn't put them in order. Should I have done that? I'm just gonna name out.
I put them in order, but if you want to give me your, why don't you give me your least obvious to most obvious? Let's try it that way. Okay.
Okay.
Because that's kind of how I did it.
Okay. Oh man. All right. Okay. Least obvious.
Number 5.
Well, pretty obvious still, but least obvious. I would say. I have Russell Wilson on there for some reason. All right.
So he's my number 5 as well.
Oh wow! Okay,
we're both on the same page there.
That's right.
Why did you pick Russell Wilson? What made you? What is it about him that you just remember him having Russell Wilson?
I mean, for some reason, I remember he's had him before, and I do remember too that he's just like, he seems like Seattle is like one of those teams that he just drafts from. I don't know what it was about it, but I just felt like Russell Wilson for sure.
So after going through the history, he's actually been on his team 3 times, which was which was in the top out of let's say 13 years of drafting. He's in the top 10 because he's been drafted that many times. So that is one of the players that I had at number 5. Also, when I add to that, I had a tie for number 5 because he's this other guy. I don't know if you remember, but he was basically the first keeper before keepers. Before keepers were even on there, Dave had this guy 3 years in a row. Yeah, 3 years in a row. Drafted him.
Oh man. Oh man.
Ray Rice. Ray Rice.
Oh my God.
Ray Rice.
I should have thought of that. Yes.
Complete awesomeness. It just.
That's a pure
perfect.
awesomeness type player.
Pure.
Perfect.
Yes.
Good one. Good one.
Okay.
Wow. That was a good one.
My number 4, you did 5, I'll go 4, and you could jump in your 4. My fourth one, this guy was drafted 4 times. And honestly, when I say this person's name, you're going to notice that there's a similarity between him and the type of player that he usually gets that I mentioned already. Drafted 4 times, number 4, DeAndre Hopkins. Now, he's drafted him 4 times. It's
that
Devontae Adams.
That's the guy I was going to say next.
Shut up. Get out of here.
I swear to God.
DeAndre Hopkins.
I'm not even kidding you. DeAndre Hopkins. Yes.
DeAndre Hopkins is the Devontae Adams of the AFC. Pretty much same situation, same player.
Totally agree. And not only that, but so DeAndre Hopkins, I feel like, is more of a Dave type player.
100%.
Just the way he's like a contested catch guy. He's not gonna, break open and catch the ball. No, you just throw it to him. He's gonna jump up higher than anyone else, grab it. Like, he just feels like a Dave type of player, like bulky, tough, like not. I mean, I guess DeAndre Hopkins is probably the sexiest of the type of players that Dave likes, but
But like if I told you right now, if I told you some names, right? If I told you Stephon Diggs, no, right? You don't think no way, right? You think no way.
No. Like for instance, Tyreek Hill didn't match his team. Like, I don't know why he had him.
Did not. He got Tyreek Hill is like Tyler Lockett, like kind of a player. It's not the kind of guy you normally get. No. You get the top big guy. Yeah. Adam Thielen, you're not going to see him on his team. Probably not that kind of guy. DeAndre Hopkins, definitely.
He's got the type of name that would be on Dave's team, like Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
But I don't because there's that name thing too. But yeah, anyway.
Also, you got to understand, Dave would not know enough about him at that point. So he's getting these names because he needs to know enough about him, or at least have enough PR behind him that he's got him. Yeah. Because his research is literally the day before.
Do they sell those magazines anymore? Like the fantasy football magazines?
I don't know, but I think he's left it. He hasn't won in a while, so his subscription must have run out. Your number 4 was DeAndre Hopkins. Then is that what you're saying? Okay,
I kid you not. That was the one I was going to talk about next.
We're 2 for 2. Okay, go ahead and give me your number 3.
Oh, by the way, real quick, I'm going to add another. What did you call it? Notable mention.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, honorable mention.
Yeah.
Giovanni Bernard is my honorable mention. So yes.
He's okay. So I had Giovanni Bernard on my list, not as an honorable mention. He was drafted twice, only twice, but for whatever reason, that guy stuck in my head. So when I saw him, I put him on my paper, but I didn't put him in the honorable mention because he's only drafted twice. Definitely, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Okay. So. Okay, who would I say is another guy who's up there? I'm gonna have to say. I'm trying to think of the right order here.
Say the most.
How many more? We have 3 more to say, right?
3 more. Yes.
Okay, so then in that case, oh man. Okay, I have 4 names that are like pretty hardcore for me.
Go ahead.
I might have to drop one to honorable mentions.
No, just tie. You can make it a tie.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna say, at the 3 spot, I'm gonna put on there, Adrian Peterson. I don't know how many times he's drafted him, but I think he has.
So he drafted him twice. Drafted him twice. He was in as high. I didn't put him with see, Adrian Peterson is. You're right, and I should have probably put him on there. I put Gio on there because I just felt like he was more. But Adrian Peterson was drafted twice, and I think he picked him up. Didn't he pick him up last? No, he didn't have him last year, did he? Or I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised because think about it. I mean, he was on Minnesota, like that's a Dave type team.
Mm-hmm.
He was on Washington. I mean, that's a Dave type team. So yeah. It's got that feel of Dave's team.
Yeah.
You know.
So No, that's a great call. I think I agree with that. My number 3 was a player that, again, he was the first keeper and part of that first keeper situation before we had keepers, drafted by him 4 straight years.
Oh my
4
God! All
times
right.
he's had this on his
Oh,
record.
he's probably on one of my top 3. But yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
so this player no longer in the league, but definitely will not be forgotten.
Oh,
He's not
interesting.
in the league
Okay.
anymore. Sorry.
Oh.
Uh, no Sean Moreno. No Sean Moreno. He's the
Yes.
upgraded version of
Yes.
Giovanni Bernard.
Yes.
4 times.
Yes.
Yes?
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Another Denver running back for
Denver
sure.
running
Oh yeah.
back. He's not he's a guy that you draft him and you don't know if he's not really a true RB1. He's kind of that like he's in the role, but he's not like the guy that is going to explode. But Dave will get him and play him with a running back one
Oh
slot,
my
whatever.
God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So there
Horrible.
you go.
Yeah.
No Sean Moreno. 4
Horrible.
times. Go ahead.
Horrible.
Sai, you're number 2.
Oh man.
Or sorry, is it me?
All right.
Or is my lead on this one? I
Go
lead
ahead.
on-
You could lead.
Yeah, I lead. My number 2, 4 times on his team. And I gotta say, he's probably 4 times on his. He was drafted 4 times. I honestly think he was drafted 4 times and probably picked up another 3. So I'm gonna give him about a 7-time tenure on Team Awesomeness.
God.
The best part about this player is that the player name was mispronounced every time he ever said it. Number 2, Pierre Garçon. Pierre
Oh
Garçon.
my God. Yeah.
In other words,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Let me just say it as Dave would say it. Pierre Garcon. Garcon.
Well, I mean, it's tough, dude. Like robots don't really have the ability to kind of
He-
pronounce
Yeah.
those type of words. So yeah.
He was Garkin. Garkin was his wide receiver through the many years in Indianapolis, and then he picked him up in SF, I think, too.
Horrible.
Go ahead, yeah.
Horrible.
Go ahead.
Yeah, see, I didn't have him because he's not active anymore, so I didn't even consider him.
Mhm.
But damn, man, it's bringing back some memories. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Good.
Number 11.
Okay. All right, so I have I have 3 players right now, and I'm gonna bundle 2 of them
Yes.
as my number 2, and then I'm gonna have my number 1.
Sure.
All right. So my number 2 slot is 2 players from the same exact team.
Uh-huh.
It's a quarterback and wide receiver combo. It's Aaron Rodgers and Randall Cobb.
I was gonna say Aaron. I did not put Aaron Rodgers because I felt like it was cheating because it was almost gonna be easy. But yes, Aaron Rodgers would be absolutely.
Yeah.
And you put Randall Cobb.
And Randall Cobb. Yeah.
So I think Randall Cobb was taken only like once or twice. I only saw him, but definitely,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, it wasn't a lot.
He just felt like a Dave type player, but yeah. Okay.
I felt like Randall Cobb could be a guy that he probably picked up on the wire a lot and dropped and picked up and played.
Maybe.
But I definitely Aaron Rodgers. Yes, definitely Aaron Rodgers. For many years would probably be on that. A couple of other ones before you get to your number 1. I'll throw these out there. He did have Andrew Luck a couple of times.
I can see that.
That was a quarterback that he had. And also Deshaun Jackson was about 3 times. I didn't put him on there because it didn't feel like a David pick.
Interesting.
Yeah, did not feel like a David pick. So, but anyway.
What about Big Ben? Big Ben feels like he would be on David.
He had him only like one time. Actually, he did have Antonio Brown a couple of times as well. But mostly the players that we mentioned were the ones that were predominantly on that list.
Gotcha.
All right, so let's break it down. Number 1.
Number 1, man. Number 1. I'm
think
pretty certain we have the same guy.
We got to have the same guy.
Guarantee.
Go ahead. I'll let you take it.
All right. Jimmy Graham.
No, we don't.
Oh,
Jimmy
what?
Graham.
Dude, Jimmy Graham. That's like quintessential Dave.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sai.
I felt like he had Jimmy Graham every single year.
He might have had him draft. He probably did not. He did not draft him. I'll tell you that. Did not draft him. Would pick him up probably. So,
dude. Okay. I think he's getting pick him up this year for sure.
Okay, so you're going. Look, I can't blame you. It's a Jordan Reed type of a call. So, okay. I'm
Okay, okay.
surprised you really missed this. You
Oh
really
man, hold
missed
on.
this.
Wait, is it an active player? No.
Oh, yes, it is an active player.
Oh wait, what? All right, all
And
right,
right now,
all
I'm
right.
telling you, everybody watching this probably is telling me right now they know exactly who I'm talking about.
Oh wait. Oh, you know what? I missed it. It's on my list at the top. I forget it. Sorry. Yes, yes, yes. I had more players, so I had more than five. I got exactly what you got. Yes.
Okay, so Jimmy Graham would not have been your number one.
No, 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 no. I'm sorry. Yeah. Wow. I totally missed that one. In fact, I have here, um, like Reed. Yeah. Sorry. Yes, I know
Okay,
exactly what you're gonna say.
okay, because
Very clear.
this player has pretty much has his home, has a second home at his house. He,
Receiver, right?
he's a
Yeah.
receiver. He
Yeah, yeah,
was
yeah.
he was bid for a $20 buy in an
Guaranteed.
auction when the player was a 35-year-old wide
Man.
receiver, outbidding bought it for him, and still had a decent year. We know who it is. Sai,
Yeah.
I'll make you bet.
Of course, Larry Fitzgerald.
Larry Fitzgerald. There
No
is no
question,
other
no
player.
question.
He's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
drafted by him 4 times. I don't know how many times he's been traded for him. Probably another
Oh
6.
man,
So
unreal. Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the guy. Guarantee, no questions asked.
if
Yeah,
you had to summarize Awesomeness' team, you say Larry Fitzgerald. It's just the bottom line.
you would. I think you would. Yeah. I mean, all these guys, right? Like, they just feel like Dave players, right? Like, I'm trying to think of new players, like rookies and maybe not rookies, but like second year guys and stuff like that that are in that um like in that mold, right, of a Dave type player.
I think you gave him one.
I gave him one. Who?
You gave him a David type of a player that now I think he's gonna use for the next couple.
Oh, okay, okay. Wait, did I say it earlier?
No,
Oh. I'm like what I'm
like a
gonna say
newer
right now.
player, that now he's become as incorporated into his system.
Oh my god. I mean, I feel like I can give probably a few of those names. Like
There's one
um
that jumped out at me when you said this.
oh, okay. Well, I was kind of leaning towards Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is one of those type of guys. A little
Nah,
bit.
yeah, but
He,
the guy I think, because again, when I think of Dave, so when I think of a David player, David's get the top end guys, like the name brands, and if he doesn't
yeah.
go name brands, he always gets guys that at least had a history of doing well.
Uh-huh,
That's kind of
uh-huh.
where he comes from. So I think
Okay.
the guy that you gave him, I think could be, who's the guy you gave him last year?
Oh. Connor?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Uh,
maybe Connor.
Con-
Another one is I was thinking like new guys though, like
oh,
rookies or second year guys.
yeah,
That's what
yeah.
I was thinking. Like someone who could stay with him for the next 10
10
years.
years? Yeah. Well, that's going to be that we're going to find that out in the draft, but I don't know
Yeah.
who you would know at that point cuz I just think he's going to stick with his known brand players. And that's
Yeah.
what and you really look at it. I don't think he really looked I looked over his stuff. Doesn't really draft a lot of rookies. He doesn't really draft the rookies and stuff,
Yeah,
you know?
I know, but I guess who is that next type, that
That's the question.
like is just waiting to be on Dave's team, and then
We
will
should have a reality show for it.
he gets the rose from Dave.
But this was fun. We should do this with like
Oh
a lot
man.
of other teams. This would be
Yeah.
interesting to see. So
Yeah,
good.
yeah, for sure. I know. Yeah, there are some other teams you can kind of start thinking of names like, hey, Amari Cooper belongs on B Diddy,
Oh,
you know,
B Diddy.
or
Yeah, B Diddy. I mean, you got Calvin Johnson with Sevi. You know,
yeah, exactly,
S-
exactly. So it's like some guys that you just
David
know.
Johnson. If I say David Johnson,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. Like
HBK.
David Johnson is. I was actually gonna also say B Diddy. He's
Well,
another
yeah,
B
that
Diddy type.
cross, yeah.
Yeah, both of them. You're right. You're right. But yeah,
But like, you're not going to see David Johnson on my team. Like,
right,
just to fit the mold. Never fit the mold.
right. Right,
So,
right. I mean,
I,
I've had them before, but I'm kind of weaning off those type of players. But
yeah,
yeah,
but you have very eclectic kind of a group thing though. You don't have a kind of you have a very eclectic. repertoire behind you. So you're tougher to pinpoint because you'll just do anybody.
Yeah. But,
So
anyway,
well, this
that
was
was
good.
fun, man.
That was good.
Yeah,
Thank you,
that was
man.
fun.
Definitely
sure.
appreciate it. And I hope you don't, over sleep in as much as you can tomorrow. Get a little rest. And I hope everything goes well. We'll talk again soon, hopefully.
Thank you, sir. Have a
Thank
good
you,
one.
bud. All right. Have a
Bye.
good night. Late.